So those last finishing touches to make SockMonkey look like he blends in with this is to work on the lighting. And I could work with my burn and dodge tools over here. I could burn to make parts of him darker. As you can see, there's shadow on this side and light on this side, so he should sort of follow in the same, but that is destructive. So let's go over some steps of how to do this non-destructively. What we need to do is to go to the layer from the main menu and create a new layer. And if you remember, I talked about last week layer modes, or sorry, 2 weeks ago, and there's a layer mode overlay, and in that mode it's going to allow everything that is gray to blend in with a layer underneath it. And we can really use this to our advantage to create a layer that's basically just going to be for making parts of our image darker. So I switched my mode to overlay, and I'm going to click into where it says fill with overlay neutral gray and click OK. And this layer is up here on top. And now I'm going to take my paintbrush, make sure it's on black, and I'm going to lower the opacity of my paintbrush down to about 10% and make my brush a little bit larger. Now when I paint over him, so notice my layer is filled with gray, but you don't see the gray because it's in the overlay mode. I can paint over him and it's going to give me the same effect as if I had used that burn tool, but it's completely non-destructive. So this can be a really neat trick for like going in and making some kind of shadows in a non-destructive manner. And I could go over different parts of my image as well if I wanted to add a little bit of drama there. So again, this is non-destructive, it's on its own layer. And just to show you, if I took that layer and I put it in the normal mode, that's what we're seeing, it's all gray. But as soon as it goes into overlay mode, then the gray disappears. I can also use this for filter effects. I'm going to do the same thing again, layer, new, layer. And I'm going to create a layer that has the mode overlay, and I'm going to fill it with overlay neutral, gray. Click OK. And I'm going to add a filter that I can find here under my filter gallery, which is just grain. I'm going to add a little bit of texture, kind of create a sort of a little bit of a mood, or like this was an old movie perhaps, still shot with SockMonkey here. So it's the same thing. Because this was created with neutral gray, you don't see the gray. This layer really just holds the texture, so that can be kind of a neat effect. And then lastly, you might want to play with the adjustment layers. So if I go to that one that I call the black and white cookie, it's the circle, and I could play with working with the levels, for example, and it's going to affect all my layers, but if I wanted to make the image a little bit more dramatic. And incidentally, if I wanted my levels to just affect one layer, so I'm going to put it just over SockMonkey, for example. Oh, I didn't mean to do it like that. I'm going to just drag it down here. So my levels, if I wanted to just affect this one, I can clip an adjustment layer. So in the same way that you create a clipping mask, so I hold the Alt key down and I click on it, and now it is just affecting SockMonkey, which actually doesn't really work for this picture. So I'm going to go back and let this level adjustment affect all the layers underneath. Okay, so obviously you could keep going and playing with the lighting and maybe keep working with the shadow, but this is a pretty good, a lot of good steps here. And then the next set of videos, I'm going to talk about perhaps a little bit more serious kind of hyper-reality image for you to create.